Welcome to the Naked Peaches. I'm Anna.
I'm Taylor.
And it's Tuesday.
Yes, we're so excited. Okay, I've gotten so many messages today about my tongue bumps because our last week's episode came out today where I talked about the bumps I was finding on my tongue, and I thought that it was maybe my HPV flaring up. And I just want to report to the posse that my bumps have gone way down, and I do think it had to do with stress because I think I may have said that I have had an eye twitch for weeks now.
Yes.
It's now migrated to the other eye, so both eyes are now twitching. And so I'm pretty sure this is all just like stress, like kind of coming together to my body's like shutting down.
Stress is terrifying.
It's really scary what it can do to you.
I'm so sorry, but I'm glad that they're going away.
Thanks.
And you're sure it's not the vaping?
I mean, it definitely could have to do with the vaping. I bought a vape this last week also, so things are going really well for me. I'm doing great.
It's okay. It's a journey. We're on the journey, you know, it's going to be okay.
It's a journey. Yeah. We're working on it.
Wow. Well, I hope by next week the bumps are fully gone for you.
Thank you.
Can I get an update on your eyelashes?
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So I was telling Anna and Anji about this morning, but my eyelashes, I have been using the Kiss Falscara lashes, which are like the ones that go underneath, and they come with this special like set of tools. So there's like a bonding glue that you put on your lashes before you apply the Falscara lashes, and then there's like a sealer that you put on top of it. And they work really well. They look really good. I feel like people can't tell that you have false lashes on.
No, these look real.
Yeah, they look real. Yeah.
The problem though is that I ran out of the remover that it comes with. So it comes with its own lash like remover. So, and every time I've used it, it's worked really well. Everything comes off right away. Last night I go to take off my lashes and I didn't have any of this remover yet. So I started to use my regular like safflower oil, which is what I normally use to remove my makeup. And the lashes come off, but the like sticky glue stuff on my eyelashes does not. And it starts getting really like tacky and my lashes start sticking together and they're like, all of a sudden they have like these 3 spiky eyelashes and they're covered in like fuzz from my cotton pads. And I'm just like, this is not going well. I'm going to stop. Like I need to like step away and just leave it. And my plan was this morning when Target opened, I was going to go to Target, buy another kit of the like Falscara thing and get more of the remover. And so I go to Target with my 3 spiky eyelashes and they don't have it. They don't have any of this stuff. And I like asked the woman who works there and she's like, I don't think they look that bad. And I was like, girl, you do not need to hype me up right now.
I saw your lashes.
They were scary.
Yeah, I saw them today. They were very, like, there was very clumpy and
it was like extreme spider lash.
Like like I was honestly a little scared this morning that it might not come out. I was like, is she gonna lose her eyelashes?
It looked like I had like 8 years of mascara built up on them. Like
it's like in 5th grade when you learn how to put on mascara for the first time. You think that the more the better.
Exactly. That's
good.
what it was giving. But I didn't have time to go anywhere else, so I just like came home, had our team meeting with my scary eyelashes, and
you're just like camera off, camera on, like, well, you guys know me by now. We're just rocking with this.
So what I did was I also didn't have time after that meeting to go like search for more options because my friend who also uses these told me I need to try micellar water, which I don't have any of.
I've never heard of that in my life.
Well,
I love
it's
that
like
stuff.
a makeup remover, right?
It's basically just like fancy water. I'm pretty sure. Like they use it in France a lot because I guess their water is like more mineralized or something, and so it's like a neutral, balanced water kind of.
Is that all it is?
I think so.
Okay, I feel like that shit's not going to work on this glue.
Whoa.
I could be wrong though, so people are probably going to cover me like, Anna, that's not what it is.
Well, what I did before we started recording this podcast was I just put more fake lashes on to cover it up. So I still have the 3 spiky lashes, and
they're just
it's
hidden.
A facade right now.
Hidden. Well, they look so. I would never know that you even have fake eyelashes on.
That's not what I was expecting you to say.
She's like, nothing has worked, and we're back to square one. Yeah. And I now will no longer be able to remove these ones either.
But I was like, I gotta have lashes on for the podcast, so.
Oh my God.
Here we are.
Okay.
So I will keep you posted. Yeah. After this, I think I'm gonna try and go to Ulta and, you know, like buy a couple different things.
You need to. I'm scared for your, especially because eyelashes is the one thing, like, you don't want like that or an eyebrow. You can't lose them. Like it really
I can't afford to not have these.
She's gonna have like one left, just a single lash.
And then I'll become addicted to wearing the falscara to cover it up, and I'll have to wear them every day. That's how they get you.
That is how they get you.
You're like, we're gonna have every single one of your lashes fall out, so you must use our products from now on. No.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my
so
god.
that's just going on with my lashes.
Wow.
Anna is actually crying.
I am actually crying. Yeah. Good thing I didn't put on too much mascara because it's gonna be all the way down my cheeks in a second. Oh my god.
Do you have any croissant updates for us?
Okay. Yes. Last week I went to I think it's called Artisserie. I could be mispronouncing that. I'm really sorry if I am. It's on Northwest 23rd. I was expecting this to be a tourist trap because 23rd is like, it's fun, but also some of the places there are not like, Portland locals don't actually go there.
Yeah.
So, and when you walk in, it's very much like, it's really pretty, but it's also one of those places where you're like, this is either going to be delicious or it's like just pretty Instagram aesthetically and the food's going to be trash. So I was like, didn't quite know what to expect. But delicious croissant. The ham and cheese croissant I had that I tried for Amanda that she requested, so good. I would highly recommend that place. I will be going back. I liked it a lot.
It looked really good from the video you posted.
It was really good. So that was my my croissant update. And then I posted this on my Instagram story today, but last week Claire was talking to us about distracting ourselves before social media could distract us. And I've been doing that with Sophia's window cling toy. And it's been working so well. Like, I'm actually embarrassed as to how well it's working. Like, last week, while I was editing the podcast episode, typically, what's hard for me when I edit the pod is that it's like, I want to listen like a normal podcast, but I can't because I have to be like trimming it or like adjusting the volume or like whatever. But it's like the blocks of time between adjusting, sometimes it's like 10 seconds, sometimes it can be like 30 seconds or a minute before you have to do something. And so it's like really tempting to get on my phone while I do that. But then like I miss whatever I'm editing and I'm like, Anna, you're so stupid. And I have to, rewind. So
Vicious cycle.
So last week I sat down and I just grabbed that window cling toy and I was just playing with it the entire time. And I focused like I have never focused in my entire life. Like, I guess I am like actually embarrassed as to how well I was focused.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. So everyone needs to distract themselves on their own terms now and not use social media to distract themselves.
Yes. Wow. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
And even for like when I do get on now, I try to just like grab that or like something else and I'm just like actively distracting myself first before it can distract me.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Incredible.
So, thank you. And thank you to Claire.
Yeah.
She's
Claire
a real
gave us
MVP.
so many good tips. She was amazing.
Yeah. So that's my mini update. Also,
wow.
The sun, dude. I like this weekend I was out in the sun at my friend's my friend's baby's birthday party, and I was like, oh, like I have been feeling maybe like sad lately, but I think I'm just like weather depressed because seeing the sun really was game changing.
Mm-hmm. This is the worst time of year. I mean, it's the best now that it's starting to get sunny, but when you like, it's like the post holiday, nothing after January, it still continues on. It's like great every day, and you're just like, there's not even like a holiday I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
like, there's not even anything. It's
just
like this weird lull in between spring. And you really every year I'm like, I'm going to plan a vacation. Never do I. But every year I say I'm going to, I'm like, we're booking a trip for February 2024 today. Never do it, but one year I will.
Yeah. Yes, that's the goal.
Yeah, somewhere sunny, somewhere beautiful. You need it. Mm-hmm. You need it.
Or like, we need to invent some fucking spring holidays,
Yes.
To like, I mean, Galentine's Day was so much fun because it was like a fun, exciting thing to look forward to in February, to like get dressed up for and like an event to see people and like
something.
Yeah, we need more of that.
Yeah.
We need one a month until it's sunny.
I agree. Until it's sunny. No, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Okay.
And more 3-day weekends would be nice. Like if they're national holidays, that'd be even better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Okay, I think this is a perfect time to intro you. So today we have Amanda on the pod. I've been thinking about your intro for the last week, and I get all my best ideas when I'm taking a shower, because don't we all like recite, you know? So I've been thinking all week, I'm like, okay, well, how are we going to intro you? Because I was like, there's so much to say about like your work and your personal life and like the things you're passionate about. And then I was like, okay, I think it's like really stupid that in America in general, we always intro people by like their job. And it's, it's like very like normal here, but it's also dumb because we're all so much more than like our careers. So what I've decided is I'm going to intro you.
I love it.
Okay, so we met in college.
Yes.
And we've been like friends since then, friends on Instagram, but we haven't spent like a ton of quality time together. And then recently I feel like we've gotten more quality time together, which has been like so fun. But I feel like throughout the entire time since college that I followed you on Instagram, like you've been one of those people where every time I see you, and I see that, like, just things that you post or whatever, I'm like, Amanda's like such a warm person. You're just like, you're a warm person. You're very like caring and passionate about the things you're passionate about. And everything that you post, I'm like, this is like a joy on my feed versus like other stuff I see where I'm like, I'm annoyed with this person or I hate X thing or whatever. I don't know. I just feel like you just like light up rooms with your personality.
That's so nice. Thank you.
Yeah, that's how I'd like to intro you today.
That's so nice. Thank you.
Yes.
That's so sweet. That means a lot to me. Yeah, social media is weird. It's such a weird space. And it's definitely something I've tried to curate over the years. And also I feel like Instagram is now becoming like the Facebook. You know what I mean? It's like whatever. And I don't know. I just feel like it's changed over the years where maybe in college or early years I'm like, oh, I want followers. You want whomever. And now I'm like, remove. Like, this needs to be, especially after you have kids and you're like, I want to be able to share whatever I want about my kids. And you make it this kind of like curated little group of people where you feel like you can be really authentic and just put whatever you want on your story or on your feed. And it's like people can see themselves out. Yeah. So that means a lot that you find it to be authentic and warm because that's nice.
I love that people can see themselves out. Words to live by.
My friends all the time are like, I post my kids too much. And I'm like, that's what like the mute button is for, honey. Like people can be gone. I won't even notice. Yeah. It doesn't even matter. Like, this is your life. This is your page, you know? Yeah. Do you.
Well, I agree because I met Amanda at our Valentine's Day party and we didn't chat for very long, but I was just very like, oh my God, this girlie is amazing. Like, I feel like you were very warm and friendly and I was like, super excited when Anna said we were bringing you onto the pod and that I was going to get to know you more because it was so nice to meet you.
Thank you. I was honored to be invited. I was like, really? Thanks.
Yeah, we love.
And you have the cutest red bodysuit on that I still think about how much I need that bodysuit
with your matching red lipstick. It was very on brand.
Red lipstick is like my comfort thing. Like I'm like a big lipstick gal. I think it's my grandma always had them growing up, and I love a good lip.
What's your signature red?
Oh my God, any kind. But I actually have the L'Oreal like color stay, any drugstore kind that like just will not come off. Yeah. The best.
Okay, interesting. I haven't like dabbled enough in drugstore makeup. Yes. I feel like I am a makeup snob for no reason.
No, it's probably like good to be. I've only recently elevated everything but lipstick.
But if it's working for you, I mean,
if it stays on,
why spend more?
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I don't have a signature red lip, but any kind of shade, but as long as it's like a matte color stay, put it on once, don't have to worry about it. That's everything, because I'm always like smearing it all over my face if it's not, like eating something or kissing my kids, and then you're like, do you have a rash? Like, maybe I'm like, that's just my lipstick all over your face. Exactly.
But the L'Oreal Color Stay doesn't do that.
No, it doesn't. It stays on.
It's impressive.
Yeah, this is a good tip. I feel like I shy away from lipstick a lot. Not like I like it when I wear it, but I just always am so like, I'm eating too much, I'm drinking too much. It's like, I'm like, this is never going to stay on, so why even put it on? I'll just put on chapstick and leave. But
totally,
this is a good pro tip. Maybe I'll dabble now.
You should.
I'll report back.
I mean, the long wearing lipstick and the stains, I feel like are the only way for me. Because like, I simply do not have the patience to be reapplying.
You can't.
It's just like, who has time to be reapplying lipstick all day? No. Like, it has to be something that's going to last all day long. I've been like dabbling with like different stains lately too to try and find something that will like last a long time.
Do you have a favorite one?
No, I feel like I'm still searching. Okay. Like right now I'm wearing, it's one of the like expensive brands. I think it's like Dior or something, but it was like had a lot of reviews on Sephora. My problem is that with the long lasting ones, I am just like such a dry girl that like my lips start to like peel and flake and you can see the texture.
It has to be a whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm with you. You have to have a nice chapstick. I know. It's a whole ordeal.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to elevate. Maybe I need some Dior. Maybe that's my, like, treat myself 2023.
Ooh, I love that for you.
Well, and your birthday is coming up, so maybe...
My birthday's this week.
Maybe that can be a gift to yourself.
Okay. Yes. Sold. Say less. Say less. No more.
I like that. I'm like, yeah, it's flaky. My lips are flaky and gross.
I'm like, I need it. Immediately, I need it.
Well, it'll probably perform better on you. Like, your lips are giving, like, smooth,
it can't
moisturized.
Be worse than my drugstore item, right? Like, it must. So.
Well, you can tell us. Try it out and tell us if the drugstore is superior.
Okay, I'll report back.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're all owned by the same company anyway.
They're all made in the same factory. It's the same factory with a different, like, label on the bottle.
I know. That's the thing. You have to decide if it's, like, really luxury or not.
Yeah. Well, I want you in your own terms to kind of tell us a little bit about your, like your background and yourself. And like I said, I just feel like everything that you do is like so fascinating and like intertwined. And I know we were talking about this last week, but like, let's give the posse a little taste of Amanda.
Okay, that's so sweet. Well, where should we start? I am a birth doula.
Yes.
And I've been one since 2018. I also work in tech, and I specialize in diversity recruitment. And in both program management and hiring in folks into big tech companies. So I've worked at like Meta, I currently work at Roku, Amazon, like lots of the big top tech. And I specialize in hiring women, people of color, veterans, and the differently abled amongst many categories of people into key decision-making roles. So VPs, directors, senior engineers, whatever that might look like, and making sure that everyone has a seat at the table and we're not just hiring in homogenous groups of people where everyone looks the same and thinks the same, and that diversity is both ethnic diversity, cultural diversity, diversity of thought, all different kinds of aspects within tech companies. And then in my work as a birth doula, I support women, or I should say birthing people, however people identify, in welcoming in new additions into their families. I support people who are navigating their first pregnancies, maybe even the loss of a baby early on, and all the way up through, sometimes people hire me really early on in the process. Sometimes people hire me literally like the week before they're due, and we just kind of come in and, and I do a lot of prep with folks and families in the beginning, getting them prepared for the birth process, education around what to expect, helping them to navigate anxieties or just really anything that comes up in those beginning months, helping them prepare for the postpartum period, because most folks don't. And that is honestly probably the most challenging aspect for most people, mentally, physically, emotionally, and just really making sure that they have an infrastructure of support and care, and that they're empowered through the birth experience and afterward, and just supported and held and seen and valued. And then I also do some postpartum doula work where I'll come into the home and help people hands-on. Help them with taking care of their baby, everything from like swaddling to breastfeeding support to putting baby down to just giving them a moment to shower and sleep and care for themselves. So kind of the whole gamut. And I guess that's probably my top two things other than being a mom that comprise most of my days these days.
I love that. Because we were in the same major back in college.
Yeah.
So, like, how did you go from that into what you're doing currently?
So, yeah, I guess I should say I have my degree in human services and social justice, and I have my certificate in international human rights.
Wait, is that what your degree is in too, Anna?
Human services?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you are doing human. It's such a weird, like, people think of it just as you go in, you're, like, immediately in social work or, whatever that might look like. But the degree spans so many different disciplines and areas of expertise. Like, you are in human services. You're supporting women. You're having people, you can tell the energy from your page, from your photos. Like, people feel empowered. They feel good about themselves. That energy carries into every aspect of their lives. Like, it's all aligned, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's funny how, like, I work in tech.
Yeah.
But I am supporting people in building equity for their families long term, in dismantling systemic racism and injustice. So many different aspects. You can put human services kind of in anything.
Well, and I feel like especially for recruiting, like, it's probably even better that you have a human services background, because you're trained to think about a lot of things that maybe somebody that didn't have that same background would think about.
Absolutely. Like, so much of my job is, like, right now tech has been slow, but one of the invaluable things that I can bring to the table is completely redoing interview processes, challenging people to manage their biases, interview training. I mean, really any aspect of how we evaluate people when they're coming into a company. You can incorporate human services into any aspect of interview training, whatever it is, to make sure that you're evaluating people fairly. Even the concept of, like, what does it mean to be professional? Like, when you really break it down, it's like, well, how white and male can you act?
Totally.
You know,
oh
and
my
you're
God.
like,
I'm so passionate about
interesting.
this.
Like, should people have to come into work and code switch every day and act like, what does it mean to be authentic in the workplace? How can you challenge that? When I'm talking to hiring managers, first of all, I'll be talking to, like, VPs, directors all the time, and they're like, completely subconsciously, they'll just be like, he, when they're speaking about the candidate they want to bring in. Oh, when we hire him, such and such, and just gently challenging, like, I've noticed that you said him a lot. I'd like to challenge you on, you know, thinking that maybe you might hire a woman or someone who identifies as non-binary. Or like, I want to hire someone who is so passionate about coding, so passionate about tech that they are investing their time, you know, 40 hours during the work week, but then also coding at nights, you know, 20 hours a week. And you're like, oh, so you're excluding like mothers. You're excluding like anyone who isn't just like probably like a single 20-something living alone with a very specific lifestyle, like, and just sort of broadening the perspective of folks who are in these leadership roles of like, people bring so many different things to the table that might look differently than what you perceive as being successful within the workplace. Yeah, just kind of challenging those kinds of norms. So
that's cool that you're like having those conversations with like VPs, and like I feel like those are the people who need to hear that message, and they're the ones who don't. Like, we all know, but like you know, those are the people who need to understand it. So that's really cool. They do,
and I feel like it's important because it's hard, because you have to be very delicate sometimes about how you present that information, or you know, how you broach those conversations, but they need to be had. I mean, how many times have we seen a corporate snafu, whether it's like a Pepsi ad or something, and you're just like, no one in the room brought that up before you launched this like nationwide campaign. There wasn't one voice that said this might not be a good idea before you like just whatever, something like blatantly racist or strange that like maybe they didn't even see it, but it's like once it's out there, it's just like, oh my God, you know, and it's like just somebody has to.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you're doing this in tech too, just because it still is so heavily male dominated, you know, that like this is exactly where these conversations need to be had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's nice. It's a fulfilling job.
How do you have time to do recruiting and being a doula and also being a parent?
Yeah, well, in all honesty, so recruitment is my full-time job. I have been a doula since 2018, but I supported my last birth, I think, in 2021, right before we moved to Portland. And I haven't since we moved here because I welcomed my second child, my son, and I don't like to doula when I'm pregnant. I did with my daughter up until a certain point, I think maybe 5 or 6 months. And then it's actually more physical than you'd think. You really are physically supporting people. You're holding them up. You're really hands-on. You're up sometimes for like 30 hours at a time. And I was just like, I want to be able to sort of doula myself during this period. Yeah. And you really have to have like an empty cup. And so I haven't I've done doula like consultation. I've helped people like with some preparation, but I haven't done like hands-on supporting a birth over the past year. And I would usually only do maybe 2 a month, because it's like you have to be able to be on call, and you basically take a sick day from work, and usually my team at work would support me. Yeah. Luckily, my job is really flexible. I can set a lot of my own hours. You can opt into meetings or reschedule them, or like there's a lot of flexibility with it. And a lot of the work around my prenatal sessions, which I'd have with clients, things you can kind of schedule in your own time, like after hours or weekends. And same with postpartum support. So it's actually pretty doable. Mm-hmm. Some doulas who do it full time will maybe even take on like 4 to max like 6 clients a month, which would be huge.
I can't even imagine 6 clients a month, just because like even if you're basing it off due dates, it's like like some people will have their babies like a month early, or like you know, a few weeks late, and then all your timelines get so messed up.
Yeah,
you know?
6 would be like extreme. I think I only know like a few doulas who would even do that. I think usually it's probably about 4. But yeah, it's like, and it's really hard with kids because you're on call 24/7. So you can get a call 3 a.m, any time of day or night, and you just have to leave and be gone for any amount of time. So there's no structure. It could be a super quick birth like Anna's. You're in and out, you're there, you're supporting them. Before you know it, everything is good. Little complication. It could be a really drawn out birth that needs 3-day induction, whatever that might look like. And that's a lot to put on my partner. And so you have to really make sure you have an infrastructure of like childcare support, that your kids are doing well. And I honestly am like, they're so little. I'm so attached. So I'm excited to reestablish in Portland now that they're getting a little bit older. I mean, my son's only 6 months, but I think as they get older, I'll get back into it more. But it's definitely my like heart work. It's something I'm passionate about. So I kind of just view myself as being a doula for life. Yeah. It just kind of is.
Part of who you are.
It ebbs and flows, and it's just part of who I am. Yeah.
Okay, can I tell you guys something?
Yes. No.
Up until like a couple years ago, I literally thought a doula was like a witch. Like,
I mean, you're not wrong.
I didn't totally
know 100%. I think like midwives are witches. Like, it's like a whole ass thing. Yeah, just like, you mean you're going to give birth in like a barn?
Yes, that's what I thought.
What are you talking about? With like crystals and like a lamb next to you or something? Like, yes, totally.
Like if you had a doula, you're doing some sort of like ritual. Maybe giving birth at home in a tub, like no hospital.
Or like a free birth or something like where you have no support.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I really did not understand what it was until like one of my friends who got pregnant had one, and it was like the woman who came over and watched her baby at night so she could sleep. And I was like, oh, okay, like this makes a little bit more sense.
Yes, and there are different kinds of doulas too, so I think there's some confusion as well. And like, there's a birth doula and there's a postpartum doula, and usually some people do both, certainly, but they are kind of completely different things. In the sense that, one person's like present at the birth, doing sort of the prep, helps to prepare for postpartum, and then you have a postpartum person who comes in and actually like cares for the baby. But yeah, I mean, I totally understand that. It also was one of those things that kind of picked up as sort of like a new agey like fad, like celebrities start to have doulas and you see celebrity doulas and this whole thing and you're like, what is this? It's like one of those like ancient professions that has had a renaissance, but to the point that it kind of makes it woo-woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'll say about doulas is I agree with you. I think like when I got pregnant, I was like seeing all this stuff about like, you should probably get a doula. And at first I was like, this seems so like woo-woo.
Totally.
But I was like, but also it's my first baby and I just have like no idea what to expect. And so like any support is helpful because I just don't know what I'm getting myself into. And so I was like, okay, like I'll just get this doula. And I had like a really good experience with my doula, but I just remember right after having the baby, like I was full transparency, like a lot of doulas like aren't cheap for the most part.
No,
and
it's a huge barrier to access.
It's a privilege to like be able to like afford a doula and have a doula, and
you just pay like out of your own pocket, right?
Yeah. Maybe some insurance covers
They're starting to be covered by insurance in certain states, I believe.
Okay.
But it's mostly out of pocket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we paid out of pocket, but I will say the week after I gave birth, like as I was like just replaying my birth in my head nonstop every day, I was like, I would have paid that woman literally any amount for like the service she provided me. Like I just like could not fathom having gone through that process without her and how helpful she was, and just truly having somebody be there who is like just there for you, just there for you, whatever. And granted, we had like, like pre-meetings and we like got to know each other a little bit, but like just having someone that was like only cares about you and your needs and is there to support you in any way that you want or need to be supported, and that understands birth since like it was mine and Gavin's very first time, so we didn't have, it was like game changer.
What did she do for you?
Okay, so this woman, like my baby came really fast and I had a very short labor, which I was lucky to have. But I also like, because everything was happening so fast, I didn't have like an epidural or anything. And she was doing this thing for the like 3-ish hours that I was in labor, where every time I got a contraction, she would physically take my hips and like squeeze them together like this. And it like relieves pressure on your hips. And there was one point where it's like she made like Gavin try to do it, and Gavin did it, and I just like yelled at him because I was like, this is not relieving the pressure.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, the way she's doing it. But literally for 3 hours, like when you were saying it's a physical job, like I remember at one point feeling bad for her because I'm like, there's no way her arms are like doing well right now. But I was like, this is the only thing that's making me feel better.
Yeah, it's game changing.
And she had, have you heard of a TENS machine?
Those things that they put on your back at the chiropractor to like warm up the muscles.
Yeah, so she brought one of those and had it like on my back and was like, we were fidgeting with like the different settings, and that was helping to just relieve, like it was just confusing my back, I think, to like what was going on, so it wasn't feeling as painful. So between that and her physically squeezing my hips together, it was like the only reason why I survived that process.
Wow. And
she was helping me like keep moving and get into positions, and my baby was what is it called when they're head down but they're facing the other way?
Sunny side.
Yeah.
They're
supposed to be head down with their front of their face
posterior
facing,
and anterior.
Yeah, like facing your back. But Sophia was like her head was facing like front or whatever. So like as they come out, they like twist or whatever. And so she was just helping me like move around to like get her like to twist easier. So
the doctors and nurses don't do this for people. I mean, I'm an idiot. I don't have any kids. I've never given birth, so I don't know.
You're not an idiot.
No, they don't. So I had it in a hospital, so I can only speak for that. Yeah. But they come in, but they're not in there with you the whole time. And maybe had she not been in there, like someone would have stayed with me longer. But like they come in there like checking you out. They're seeing how you're doing. But she was like with me the entire time, like helping me. And
like that. The doctors don't really. They are in and out. They are usually delivering in a hospital setting, multiple babies at a time. They are usually there to like catch the baby and help with the delivery, help with, obviously, if you need any complications, and they're trained for complications, as is a lot of the staff. With nurses, it's very hit or miss. Sometimes you get a really great nurse that you vibe with and who's so knowledgeable and just wonderful, and sometimes you get one that you really don't like, or maybe they're kind of checked out. People in a hospital setting also are working like 12-hour shifts, sometimes even more so for doctors. So you're just kind of, you get a random assortment of folks that you come into contact with. And there's often people who, if you're there for multiple days, you'll see 4 or 5 different people. They're in and out, constantly in flux. A doula is there, as Anna said, just for you. We are not medical professionals, so we certainly would never like do a medical procedure or like deliver your baby or anything like that. But we are really knowledgeable in the phases of childbirth, the physiological aspects of birth, how your body is structured, how your baby, navigates through the body during the process of labor. And we know all the like tips and tricks for getting baby into optimum position, which is actually something that's huge that doctors, midwives sometimes, depending on who you have, will never like discuss with you. Like there's a series of things you can do in the weeks and months leading up to the delivery even to make sure that baby's in optimal position, because usually really long labors are because baby is stuck in some sort of place where things aren't opening up and progressing, and it's like a failure to progress. And in a hospital setting, oftentimes they'll just be like, great, we're going to do all of these medical interventions, which increases the risk of a C-section or other like dramatic complications pretty drastically. Mm-hmm. And I think they're really well intentioned, and I wouldn't say like they don't care, but that's the way that people in a hospital setting are trained, is like they're going to do all these medical interventions. Honestly, also hospitals make a lot more money when you do have a C-section, or the longer you're there, all these kinds of things. And then on the flip side, they want you in and out in 24 hours if they can, if you're going to have a vaginal birth, because it's a business, right? So they have to people in and out. Whereas doulas are hired by you, we're there for you, and we're there for a lot of like the mental aspects of it. So it's both like the physical aspect of like pain relief, but it's also just having someone who's there other than your partner, who is calm, collected, aware, savvy, who deeply cares for you. Like a lot of my job is honestly, I will give you like the most luxurious foot massage. I will pick up, like a lot of women are afraid of going poop. I make sure there is nothing in sight. I make sure the room is constantly smelling great. It's spritzed. Like you just make sure that people, like I want you to feel dignified, like a goddess the entire time. And oftentimes people will be like, oh, are you her sister? Or are you so-and-so? And I'm just like, I'm so glad that you think that, because it's like you have that intimacy, but it's also a hired professional. So it's this weird juxtaposition between like being there for someone's most intimate life experience, which sometimes is really beautiful and sometimes for them is really challenging. And you can be lifelong friends. They can never see you again. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. Like whatever it is, you kind of just get in where you fit in, and you create space for their partner to be as involved as they want to be, because some partners want to be really hands-on and will spend weeks before training them in how to do, the pelvic squeeze, and to be really hands-on and to feel prepared for what to expect, or when things feel really scary, and a hospital team rushes in, feel like this is actually really normal. Like a lot of births that I've been to experience this same, like baby's heart rate is being funky or whatever it is. Whereas without context, you might be really freaked out, or your partner might be really freaked out, and the hospital staff aren't going to always have the time or want to take the time to explain that to you. So we kind of do the gamut. It's like mental wellness, physical wellness, emotional wellness. Just make sure that you're cared for, because a lot of times people can leave a birth experience feeling like they experienced some trauma. And you hear that a lot from people who love to tell you like their birth horror stories. And a lot of that is from lack of education and a lack of advocacy, and just feeling like you're kind of like churned and burned through this system where your birth was something that happened to you and wasn't something that you were an active participant in, or even someone who like was fully empowered throughout the entire process.
Wow. Well, okay, you've sold me. I'm going to be hiring you when I have a baby.
Yes, you need a doula.
I feel like if you have anxiety, it sounds like you 100% need one. Just
totally.
For like,
and everyone you're going to have anxiety. Like I'm a birth doula. I've seen so many births, and I have anxiety before my birth for both my kids, because you're like it's just so different when it's you. Yeah. It's so different when it's you. And you're also not going to be that like, nor your partner, neither of you are going to be this like stoic. You're not an observer of the process. You are the person who is actively in it. Your life is forever changing. You're literally a portal between worlds. Like, this human did not exist in the world. You created them from nothing in your body, grew them in your stomach, and then pushed them out into the world. You're not going to be, like, critically thinking. And you shouldn't have to advocate for yourself in that process. Yeah. That space should be protected.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone needs a doula. I'm a huge doula advocate.
But I love also, doulas. To say really quickly, price can be a huge barrier.
Yes.
Doulas who are really well experienced and who do it full-time professionally, sometimes it's like $2,000+ for the full gamut of care. But you can also find doulas who are sliding scale. I will never turn someone away. I've done them for all price points. You can like bargain. Like you could be like, oh, we'll do a boudoir shoot for someone. And then it's fully covered, right? Like you can do anything like that. And usually people will be open to it. Or oftentimes I'll have 2 packages. One that's less expensive and a little bit less comprehensive. Like it's like 1 or 2 less one-on-one sessions before or after. And one that's more. And my clients who maybe have a little bit more resources or in a better place, I'll openly say, this package is more expensive, but I take the difference and I apply it to folks who can't afford to pay me. And so that I can support people who are maybe in a shelter or are in a different setting. And so they get the same level of advocacy and care without having to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
So it's like a collective pop.
Yeah. Kind of. It seems like Portland, and I'm sure maybe Seattle's the same way, but they're very, like, there's a ton of doulas here, and when I was, like, trying to find one originally, like, I found so many individual doulas or, like, companies that have a bunch of doulas, and there was a lot of things on the websites that did talk about, like, sliding scale options or just, like, various options for different price points, so at least in this little bubble that we're in, it seems very friendly if you are trying to find a doula and you don't have
Absolutely. You can find someone for your price point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially someone who's new and starting out, but who's really good. Because a lot of being a doula is just kind of who you are. You know, it's like the love and care that you bring to the table, like how you show up for people. People do it for free, especially if you're their first, like, 2 or 3 births. If that's something you're comfortable with, you can totally find someone who will do it for free or even just, like, a few $100. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy that I feel like most people don't even, I mean, I guess if you're having kids, you probably know more about this. I obviously am ignorant because I'm not a parent, but like,
why would you know?
So many people probably have this idea of like the witchy thing.
Yeah.
I do you think that's like a hospital, like American medical system propaganda thing, maybe? Like,
yeah. No, it totally is.
I think so. Or I think it's just one of those things too, where it's like the hard part that I have found, at least about like birth and motherhood and all these things, is that there's a lot of very strongly opinionated people when it comes to it.
Yes, on all sides.
Yeah, on all, like literally on every side.
Yeah.
And I
think there's one right way to do everything.
Yes. And there's times where it's like, okay, well, if like if you're gonna go to like a hospital, then you're like fully having this like hospital experience and you don't believe in anything else except for like a doctor or a surgeon or like whatever, or there's like this opposite thing. And like obviously I think that there are a lot of people in the middle, but it's one of those things where it's like the loud voices are the voices that get heard a lot.
Totally.
And so I think that there was like I said, like I had my hospital and a baby, like I had an OBGYN throughout my experience, but I also was like, okay, I'm doing this, but I do want a doula too. And it's like, there's parts of everything that like I like, and like, and I still like, I like and value midwives. I wasn't like anti-midwife in any way. I just, with me and my first baby, like that's a choice I made for myself, was to have an OBGYN. But there's like this like fear thing almost when you're like, when you don't know what you're doing, and then like people are weirdly judgmental about babies.
Totally. Yeah. So there's a lot of weird history around childbirth, and I don't know about it internationally as much. I mean, I know that it varies drastically internationally based on like cultural norms, but we live in a very like medical industrial world, especially in the US. We're also really conservative, like how we were talking about earlier when we were just like shooting the shit in the kitchen about just like some of the guidelines around pregnancy. Afraid of sushi, we're afraid of coffee, a woman can't have a single beer, you know, whatever it looks like. We're really uptight about that kind of stuff in the States. And a lot of it has to do with the history of midwifery. Babies used to be born almost entirely in like home births, you know, back in the day, before the hospital industrial complex, and before, really honestly, the classic tale, but white male doctors came in and sort of like demonized what was a lot of granny midwives, which were often women of color, who were supporting communities and supporting women and birthing people, and they kind of came in and made it this narrative of just kind of like woo-woo, witchcraft, unsafe, and basically made it so that people gave birth in these like really sterile environments, such as hospitals. Women aren't traditionally, I mean, physiologically, it's really inappropriate to give birth on your back. Like the way that it opens up the hips, like everything about it is kind of unnatural. Women or people often give birth on all fours or in a squat position traditionally. But the reason that people give birth on their back in the US or in, more developed nations is because it's more convenient for the doctor. And back in the day, men would have a woman laying on her back. Oftentimes they'd be completely put out under anesthesia. And they would just like have a curtain up and they would just like feel around for like a baby. It's been kind of completely distorted, and this like really beautiful, transformational, like life-changing experience that can be really empowering for women has been distilled into this really kind of like sterile experience. And again, that's not to say that if you choose to have a hospital birth, there's anything wrong with that. I think it can be a really beautiful experience. I actually gave birth to both of my babies in a hospital and had an epidural. One of the things that's so nice about having a doula is part of our job, as I see it anyway, is bringing back that beauty and that transcendent aspect of the birth experience into how you experience birth no matter what setting you're in. Mm-hmm. Make sure that you bring like the coziest clothes into a hospital setting. I want you to bring your pillow from home. I want us to have aromatherapy. I want to dim the lights. I want it to be this like beautiful cave-like, just like cozy environment where you feel so safe and held, rather than just being like, all the lights are so bright and you're just like in this weirdo gown and you feel like your like vagina is out and all these like randos that you've never seen in your life.
Yeah.
And they're like training some intern in the corner and he looks like he's about to pass out and you're just like, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable. And I'm supposed to be welcoming my baby into this world. Mm-hmm. So protecting that experience for both you and for your baby, because I believe that how you come into the world matters, and that you should have this like joyful welcoming committee, and that your mom should feel honored and protected and cared for, or however your parent identifies. So just protecting that sacred experience and bringing the sacred aspects back into it, whether it's a hospital or whether you want to give birth in a field next to a river with a fawn nearby, or you know what I mean, surrounded by crystals, whatever it looks like for you. I think very firmly, and I would be very wary if you were to hire a birth worker, whether that be a midwife or a doctor or a doula, who felt like one way was wrong and one way was right, because it's kind of like the argument even around like feminism is it's like you get into this really murky territory where you start to tell people like the right way to do something. Mm-hmm. Because for someone, they might feel safest scheduling a C-section. That might be what's mentally healthiest for them. Someone might want an epidural because they just exited an abusive relationship for the past 10 years where all they experienced was pain, and they want this one experience to be something that's pain-free. Like, you don't know the context of someone's life or their psychology. So birth workers should just support you and make whatever experience you are most comfortable with as sacred as it can be. Mm-hmm. A lot of it too is I'll honestly be like, low key, who do I need to keep the fuck away from you? Yeah. Because like you're in a work center and you have like your mother-in-law and she's just like hovering above you, like so strange. Like a lot of my job as a doula is to be like, okay, and we'll even come up with a game plan ahead of time for postpartum. Like,
it's like being a wedding coordinator.
How do we set boundaries? It is. It's all of those kind of, and that's like human services, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's like, have you ever heard your birth story? A lot of us carry with us the trauma of our birth experience coming into the world, or it can really inform how our parents show up. And it's like, if you have this incredibly traumatic birth experience, it can be really violating. It can honestly be akin to like a sexual assault, because it's a lot of the same anatomy, it's a lot of the same experience. And so understanding people background, women especially's background with sexual assault survival or things like that, how you experience those things and how you experience the birth can really inform how you show up as a parent in those vulnerable first months. So being able to help people plan around that and to understand who they are and what they're coming to the table with ahead of time, and to help them better understand themselves, can make a world of difference for a new baby coming into the world who needs a really good parent who can show up for them.
Mm-hmm. I had a friend in college who, when she gave birth, her, like, I don't know the medical term for it, but like something that's supposed to be inside fell out, and she had to wear a diaper for a while, and it was like a whole fucking thing, like that sounded so traumatizing. And I just remember being like, I can't believe they just send you home and they're like, okay, here's your diaper, now go take care of this baby and keep it alive. And it's like, you're barely functioning as a person.
Yeah.
And you have to take care of this whole new life. And it's just like, it just blows my mind. It's terrifying.
No, it's so true. And you don't sleep. It's like this whole, it really is just like a complete and total mind fuck. And your body is all, you're recovering. Yeah, it's wild.
And your hormones are completely insane. Like,
outrageous.
So wild.
Something you were saying about generational trauma.
Yeah.
I really wish I remember where I heard this, but like recently it was on a podcast or an audiobook I was listening to. I heard that there's like, you know, and there's probably been lots of studies about this, but one study done on rats showed that like when, you know, a generation of rats was exposed to the scent of cherry blossoms and then experienced pain, their like grand pups or whatever then associated the smell of cherry blossoms with pain. Like they were afraid of them. And so it's like, I don't know. I mean, that's just one study, but it seems very real that like these things that like, you know, previous generations were exposed to are going to be passed down to us. And, you know, there's like the whole thing of like the TikTok that everybody's seen where you're like, your grandma carried you because your mother had all of her eggs when she was in your grandma's.
Yeah. Like you, when you, your grandmother when she was born had you and like, yes.
But like, I wonder if there's some element of like all of this like invisible labor stuff that like plays into that. Cause like our grandmas probably were all like, you know, very much doing like a lot of domestic labor and a lot of invisible labor. And like, I don't know, it's like no matter how like progressive you are, how much you try to unlearn this stuff, I wonder how much of it is just like partially ingrained from that, you know, like.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what is that? And I think this is a newer level of understanding and like science that I know is somewhat debated within the scientific community, but in the book, I think it's the body remembers or
the body keeps the score.
The body keeps the score. 100%. You sort of hold these things in. It changes your psychology, everything about your genetics, I feel like. Well, how stress affects the mind and the body, how it develops how we show up for our kids. I mean, how we develop substance abuse disorders or coping mechanisms and how we carry those through generations and generations and how we grow children within those bodies. Like, it's a whole thing. And I think that when we separate the mind from the body, from the lived experience is kind of when we begin to go wrong because they are so deeply interconnected. And I do feel really privileged to be raising children. I mean, I'm an eternal optimist. I know there's a lot of my friends who never want to have kids because of the current political, social, economic, environmental climate, right, to say the least, which is all very valid and so true. But I also think there's like a shining light of being able to raise kids in a world now where we recognize even those kinds of things that we carry down. Breaking, it's one of those things that's now become like cliche, like breaking generational curses, but like that shit is real.
Yeah,
that shit is real. How many of us have suffered for years and years and generations upon generations because the idea of getting therapy was taboo, or not cooking and cleaning within the house as a woman, or I mean any of that kind of stuff, and to be able to show up differently for our kids and have them like be able to cry and be like, that's okay, I see you, you don't have to be perfect at 2.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so much freedom in that, and being able to heal ourselves through how we show up and parent our kids, that's real. Or even to have my girlfriends who don't ever want to have kids be able to show up as like aunties and help to provide with my kids things that I simply can't give them because I'm one human being and I can't be all things to everyone. That's powerful too. So no, I agree. I think it's all very interconnected.
I think about the generational stuff a lot as like, and I'm like such a new mom that like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I am a mom. Like I forget sometimes.
You're like, can I even talk about being a mom?
I know. It's so funny. My best friend literally, I'm like going to be 32 this week. And when I was pregnant with my son, my best friend was like, is no one concerned about your teen pregnancy? Like, what is, she's like, you are like an infant mother. I'm just like, I know. Like, no one even cares that I'm 13. Like, it's just like, true.
Yeah, it's true. But I just feel so like I know that I haven't really started like parenting, quote unquote, yet, because she's still like a baby, you know, she's like about to be 1.
Yeah. You are though.
I am, but I'm like getting into it.
You're in the
like,
toddler phase.
Yeah, we're like turning into like a little human, you know. But it's there are like so many things that I like actively think about now. Where, like you said, I feel like there's so many things that are like the cool thing to do now, parenting wise, or like whatever. And it's like I just try to be like really intentional about certain things where I'm like, you know what, like at the end of the day, like we're gonna have like a calm household, and Gavin and I are both very like calm people, and I'm not like the biggest horoscope girly, like I know you are, but like Gavin,
I am too.
Gavin's a Pisces.
Witchy girls over here.
But I'll say like Gavin's a Pisces, and he's very like, he's like an old soul, like he's very just like sensitive almost in this way of like he like does not want like yelling and like things like that like really trigger him. And granted, like we both had like divorced parents, and so there was like weird dynamics like growing up, whatever, but it's like he just wants things to be calm all the time. And I think I'm an Aries and I'm a lot more like fiery, but like I also want to be calm in like stress situations and calm with like approaches to things. And so I think we both really actively try to have a household that's like that. Even before Sophia came in the picture, like I was talking about our cat before this. Like our cat is a sensitive boy, and like we provide a very nice calm home for him, you know? But I think about that a lot with like Sophia, and when she's like, if she's doing anything, or if she's like, right now she really loves the Tupperware drawer and like pulling out every single lid and every mason jar lid separate and throw, you know, whatever. And it's like sometimes I'm like, I just want this all back in here. But then I just like take one deep breath and I'm like, this is literally not a big deal at all. Like it's going to take me 30 seconds to put all these back in the drawer in an hour, and then we're done with this, you know? And it's like times where it's like, I want to freak out, but then I'm like, why do I even want to freak out right now? Like this is so stupid.
Taking a moment to like regulate yourself and make sure that you,
And I feel like 100%. She's like teaching me that now, which is like an important lesson that I should be learning faster.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those like cliches, like your kids teach you so much, but like it's so true. Literally, I have some girlfriends who were like, oh, like you're such a good mom, you know, how do you do it? Whatever. I'm like, years and years of therapy. Like I went to years and years of therapy before I agreed to get married. I went to years and on and off. Like I haven't been like in therapy for 10 years, but like I always have someone in my back pocket that I know I can go to when I feel like my toolbox, I've run out of resources, I've run out of tools, I feel like I've hit a roadblock on something, and I'm constantly proactive about it. I've never had like a mental health crisis because I'm always like, time for my yearly checkup, like I would my body or anything else. And as a parent, I feel like that's so important so that you can stay regulated. You know your triggers, you know your parental wounds, whether that's like your mother wound, your father wound, like you have all these different aspects about, it's all these woo-woo again, like your shadow self, like or whatever those aspects are of your psychology, so you can know yourself so well that you can show up in ways where you're not just like subconsciously impacting your children by freaking the fuck out because they have like some dishes all over the ground because you need it to be clean because that's, you know, the type of organization that you need. It's like knowing thyself and then curating a space where nothing is too precious, that you get so triggered by it that you're now dysregulated, trying to calm down a dysregulated kid, and they are now needing to parent you. Yeah. You know, or they grow up kind of being hypervigilant to your needs because you don't know how to calm yourself down. It's like we have all those resources available now, and that's a big part of parenting, I think. But it's easier said than done. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things you mentioned earlier before we started recording is that you went on like a little solo date today.
Yes, yeah.
Do you feel like that's part of like, can you just like tell us a little bit about that? Because I feel like we talk to a lot of moms who like will come to our studio and they're like, this is literally the first time I've been alone in 5 years, you know, or like something like that. And so I just feel like this is something the posse needs to hear about.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've had my son home with me, working from home with him lately, and my daughter goes to daycare Monday through Thursday. And so I sent him to daycare today, and then this morning got up, did some work in the morning, got dressed up, and then took myself to a little breakfast. And I had a little cocktail, and I had my coffee, and I ordered whatever I wanted, and it was just the best. And I worked and listened to my podcast, and it was just like so fulfilling for me. But I definitely have to budget that time for myself. You get it where you can, you know, get in where you fit in. But yeah, I mean, that's a huge thing, I feel like, and it's so hard to do. Especially, I can't even imagine people who have like multiple kids, or especially people who are stay-at-home parents who don't have childcare accessible because it's so fucking expensive, like unreal. But just finding moments to remember that you're a person, which I'm sure is so empowering for women coming into the studio, especially to rediscover themselves as like a sexual being, because there's that whole weird dichotomy of like you're either, what is it, the Madonna or
the whore.
The whore. Exactly, right? The Madonna or the whore. And it's just like, I'm either this like pristine mother and I can never do anything anymore and I can never, indulge in this like the complex sides of myself or the multifaceted parts, or, one or the other. And I bet that's so empowering. But
it is.
Doing anything to just rediscover who you are without your kids or without your partner too is, I don't know.
Just like
everything
alone
to
time
me at least.
Alone time.
Of any kind. Yeah. 10 minutes of journaling or a self-date.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, even like taking those like small things, right? It's something where it's like just that morning by yourself, something like that. It's like, it might not be like a huge trip or like a full day boudoir session or whatever, but like a small moment to yourself is key.
Yeah.
And even before babies too, like that stuff is helpful and necessary.
Oh my God. Yeah, you have to. It's so easy to lose yourself these days.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has been always so easy to lose yourself, I'm sure, especially as a woman, because again, we're socialized to just like give, or caretaking all the time, and just to not like remember your essence is so easy. To be lost on social media, to be lost in the day-to-day, to get lost in whatever, I feel like anything that kind of reminds you of who you are is so important. At least it is for me. So that was really lovely this morning. Yeah. It was really nice to just kind of go out and have fun, have a moment.
Yeah. Everyone needs that. So last week I was like, it worked a lot. It was a really busy week. And like Thursday I was like editing photos all day because I had to finish like for this gallery on Friday morning. And then I had my Friday morning reveal and then I had a shoot. And then I had to run home, pack, get ready to leave town and go visit family. And then I got there and I had to make dinner for everyone because I had signed up. Of course. I had volunteered to make dinner for everyone because I didn't want people to have to worry about what was going to go on with dinner. Yeah. And then the next day I'm like doing all this stuff, like, going along with the plans that like other people want to do. And like by the end I was like kind of like pissed and I was like reflecting on it and I was like, I totally set myself up to be in this situation by like volunteering to do extra like labor. Yeah. Like when we could have gone to dinner on Friday or like someone else could have cooked. Like I didn't necessarily have to do all that. And like I don't know, just like it's funny like how I feel like it's so hard not to default to like constantly overworking and giving too much
having
and doing
no
too
boundaries.
Much. Yeah, but then when you do it, you end up being like almost like for me, I'm like an asshole to other people because I'm like resentful about it. So it like doesn't even really like they probably would have preferred to go to dinner and have me be like more present and happy at this like family weekend than for me to be like making dinner and be like irritated the whole time.
Yes. Totally. Communicating your boundaries, knowing yourself and what's going to like piss you off or when you're like at the edge of burnout. But I know it's so much easier said than done though. And it's that's so real. The amount of times I've done that because I do that thing where I feel like I want everyone else to be happy and comfortable. Yes. All the time. With my husband all the time too. If he's like eye twitching because the kids are just like driving him fucking insane. I'm like, I'll do it. I'll take care of them. Oh, come to me. Like we'll get out of the house and I'm just like, why? Like why can't I just let someone that I love be uncomfortable? Yeah. I don't need to be like Captain Save-A-Ho like all the time, right? Like why? Why is it okay for me to be uncomfortable but other people can't be? And it's like you do this weird enabling thing where it's like, let people have their process. I'm like hindering their growth by coming in and trying to like save them all the time. No one asked me to do that. No one asked me to make dinner. But I'm like, how come you don't see how wonderful I am making you dinner? It's such a weird like self-fulfilling prophecy,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we can go into our obsessions.
Yeah. Was there something else that you wanted to...
Atlas Birth Garden, too. Yeah. Which provides, like, food for families.
So have you restarted that in Portland now?
Yeah. I mean, I've tried. It's 3... So my garden in Seattle was humongous. It was, like, big, because we had this, like, big thing of land. And it was weird, like, blessed space for some reason, which is so strange. Because we were in, like, South Seattle, South Beacon Hill. We were literally by, like... the airport, trains, like the freeway, like everything. I was like, this must be like toxic ass soil. So I did all these raised beds. It was the most luscious garden. Like, and I was like my first year doing it too. My mom always gardened and I've like had a green thumb, but winging it entirely. It was like 7 beds of just like luscious produce and like everything amazing. And so I would donate a lot of it and give it to families that I supported. And so I had the idea to come up with the Atlas Birth Garden to help with like food equity and just to make sure that people had like free fresh produce. And that was part of like my package as a birth doula. is I would bring them tomatoes and zucchinis and kale and like whatever else.
Wait, that sounds amazing.
It was really fun because I just had so much like excess. Like I was just going ham for no reason. It was producing so much. And so we have a Patreon and people would donate to the Patreon. And so I could buy like seeds or like whatever. And I've carried it over to Portland and I have 3 beds and started a garden last year. But I didn't take on new clients. So I was just giving it to like the neighborhood kids and like whatever different kinds of families who needed it. But this year I think I'm going to shift to 2 beds dedicated to like produce and 2 just flowers.
I love that.
Flowers. They make me so happy. And they're so fun. And this brings so much joy. And flowers are fucking expensive.
Yes.
So to just give people flowers, like as a new parent, to just give you like a little bouquet, I feel like it'd be so sweet.
That is so nice.
So that's like my shift this year.
Did you do any research on like how to grow stuff, or were you literally just like buying seeds and throwing it into the planters?
I would research a little bit in terms of like what light exposure and like and I invested in like really good soil and things like that. But I was really just kind of winging it. I definitely planted things like way too close together, like the whole thing, and it just for some reason really worked that year. But again, I grew up, my mom was a big gardener. We've always had lots and lots of plants, so I think you kind of just pick up things through osmosis. But it was really cathartic for me to start the garden because I didn't do it with any intention of it being perfect. Like it was just, for me gardening is all trial and error. It's like maybe it flourishes, maybe it doesn't. You just kind of like whatever happens and it's totally fine. And usually it works out. I mean, plants, people really, they need like water, sunlight, and time, you know, and it's kind of freeing to just go out there and kind of, I don't know, give yourself over to those 3 types of things and kind of let go of some of that control. But yeah, so I try not to do too much like research and planning. I just kind of go and wing it and try to invest in good plants and good soil.
That's very inspiring to me.
It's
I really
fun.
want to become a gardener.
You don't have to overthink it. You totally can start small. Like just put a little garden box outside your window or something and just go for it. It's a good return on investment too, and it's really like, I don't know, it's a nice escape from the grind of the day to day.
Yeah.
Also, how nice to have an activity that's not sitting in front of our computer.
Yes, like an outdoor something out in the sunshine.
You to get out. It's like having a pet that you have to walk or something. You're like forced to go on a walk, but after you do, you're like, oh, I felt so much better. Just like getting outside.
Totally.
I have to water my plants once a day. So I go out in the garden, water the garden. Okay, I've been outside, you know?
Yeah.
And my husband in Seattle had a run club called Keep It Moving Run Club, and I was like not a big runner. Still, I'm not like a huge runner. He's like a half marathoner, just ran a marathon a few months ago, and he started this run club because he was incredibly passionate about running. It was like it's like his therapy basically, and he noticed that there was a gap in Seattle especially, or that he perceived as a gap at the time, where there wasn't really much of a safe space for people of color. My husband's Mexican, and the majority of his best friends and just like the groups that he frequents within are mostly people of color. And he was like, I feel like every time I'm going to run clubs or I'm out and about, it's like all white dudes running around. That's like the pervasive culture. And so he wanted to create a space that was geared toward people of color and women as a safe place to come and run and shoot the shit. And we would do really short, accessible runs, like, well, short for him, like 3 miles, you know, and we would always run to a brewery. So we would go and then just like drink and hang out and have fun, and people would bring their kids and whatever else. And I was not a runner. Like, I was one of those people who, when we first started dating, and I was like in shape back then, like more so now I look back and I'm like, damn, like I was not, you know, it's like, it's so funny how you look back. At the time, I like didn't think I was super in shape, but like I would do yoga or whatever. I was like, literally went on a run one time. I thought I had like internal bleeding. And then finally he was like, okay, just run ever so, like a little bit faster than you would walk. Like just very lightly jog, and always stop before you want to. Because I would always want to just like be very impressive, like just be so quick. I'm going to run 4 miles today and I'm going to run it fast as lightning. And then I would be like, this is horrible. I feel like shit. I'm dying. You know, and I'd be like, I hate running. Running is the worst. And so I would run just kind of slowly jogging and then stop before I wanted to. And then I'd be like, oh my God, that feels great. Like I can't wait to run again. And slowly built it up from there. And so he developed this really awesome sort of community, and people that I would have as doula clients would come out, and it was just this very like accessible kind of way to get into fitness postpartum and just general like feeling like you don't have to look a certain type of way, you don't have to have any specific like fitness level, you just kind of come out and enjoy yourself. So that was kind of my intro into the running world, especially as a new mom, because one of my biggest pet peeves as a birth worker, as a parent, is the like weird pervasive like fit culture, or like the snapping back, the like needing to look a certain type of way or achieve some kind of like goal. And I feel like we've lost so much of the mentality that like working out is really great just to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Or for like the mental health benefits or the physical benefits that aren't physical, and physical benefits that aren't physical,
that
aren't
like
aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That aren't about how you're perceived by other people and your worth in that way, but are just because now you have more longevity or whatever it might be.
Have you picked up your run club since you moved to Portland?
We haven't. So my husband actually like specifically was like, we're going to let this die. We're going to like pass it off to people and sell. Yeah. He was kind of over it by the time we left. So he works at Nike and he is the program manager for the Nike Run Club apps and like their fitness apps and that whole suite. And obviously at Nike it's like a huge run culture. And so he's kind of gone into a club that's already thriving here in Portland. But we do run. Yeah, it's still like a huge thing and sort of more like a lifelong thing that I enjoy now. Mm-hmm. Which is really fun. I never thought I'd say that, but I really like going on a run. It's like really good for mental health. And as I said, for my husband, it's literally like his therapy. He needs to run. So, yeah.
Gavin's the same way. Gavin doesn't run with other people. He's like exclusively a solo runner, but it is like his therapy. He's like, it's the only time where I can just like shut my brain off and I'm only focusing on like how hard this is or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I listen to like books, like a full on, I'm super into Audible. I'm always, as I said, I listen to podcasts. I'm always listening to something. And just kind of, escape and go have fun and just become more in tune with yourself for even that just like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I would always be like, I'm really slow. Like I'm a slow runner. I'm just never going to be fast. My girlfriends and I were laughing 2 weekends ago and we were saying like, there's literally nothing more humbling than like trying to run fast as like an out of shape, like 30 something, you know, like I'm like, we're like running on the beach, like trying so hard to run and you can just like feel yourself looking ridiculous. Like in a group setting, I'm like, don't wait for me. Yeah. It just makes me feel like weird. Like I just want everyone to like do your run, be quick as lightning with your little gazelle legs. I'll find you at the end. I'm gonna pace myself. Don't look at me. Like I'm just
don't acknowledge that
I'm here. I'm here. Just let me rock. I want to like listen to my music. So that is kind of like a weird dynamic for me in a group setting. I have to just like run solo around people.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, so when we were in Palm Springs for a little stint, we would pretty much every weekend like go on a hike, and a lot of the hikes are very like, well, I guess it depends on where you're going, but if you're going around like the mountainy areas or even some parts of Joshua Tree, it's like very steep, and then it's like desert, so the elevation's like different, and it just feels like a way more intense hike sometimes. Yeah. And, you know, it's hot and whatnot.
The elevation makes a big difference.
There was this one time we were like on this hike, and we would do this hike pretty regularly, but it's like it's a steep one, but you know you're very like you get to the top and you're like so accomplished coming down, but either way going up it's like pretty steep. And we were like going up and I'm like getting winded, and we saw this person that like just sprinted past us up the mountain, and then by the time we were done this person had gone up, come down, and was coming back up again as we were walking to the top, and I'm just like staring at this person and I'm like, I don't even understand the mechanics of your body that are able to, because like literally there are the rams that live in the mountains, they are
that,
there,
like, traverse mountainsides,
like you see them and I'm like, this person is one of them, like this person is built like the mountain goat, you know?
Totally. People really are, like people are built different, and they just like train and have like such a different mental capacity. Like if you asked me to run a marathon, literally I would probably be hospitalized. Or I'd like walk. I would just walk it. It would take me 3 days and I would walk, you know? But like people just do that shit. So impressive.
Don't run anymore. And I don't really enjoy running that much anymore. Yeah. But for a period of time, running was like a big part of like what I did for fitness, and I did enjoy it. And I ran a marathon and I trained like crazy, and it was like this very like unique pocket of my life where I think the only reason I was able to do it is because my boyfriend at the time was studying abroad, and I like really needed something to like fixate on.
Totally. Yeah.
And so I did that, and my best friend did it with me, so it was like that made it a lot easier because we did our long runs together. But it took me over 5 hours to finish it. I did it in like 5.5 hours. Which
is that a long time?
Yeah.
Okay. I know like nothing
I was
about.
like one of the last people to finish.
No, my husband's like, he wants to do like sub 3, which is like less than 3 hours, or sub 4, less than 4 hours.
I was
8 hours.
running like 12, 13, 14-minute mile, like the slowest mile you've ever heard of.
100%. And you're like, I trained for this.
Yeah, but I can still say I did a marathon, and people are like impressed. And in my mind, I'm like, you guys have no idea. It's like, yeah. I think the slowing down thing is huge. Like, just, getting yourself to, like, not make it be about, like, being the speediest and, like, impressing everyone, but just, like, go a little bit faster than you would walk.
It's so nice, because then you're not just, like, torturing yourself. And you're also not beating yourself up about not being able to reach whatever milestone. I don't know. I just feel like the learnings in that, like with everything, are just, you can apply it to anything.
Totally.
You know, like birth or whatever. Maybe you're shooting for a home birth in the bathtub and it doesn't go that way, and it's just like, well, you gave birth to a baby. And that's pretty fucking impressive. And no matter how that happened or however it came to be, you ran a marathon. You did the damn thing.
Totally.
You know?
Okay. I think we should go into our obsessions.
Okay. I can't wait to hear what yours are.
I can start. I have like a little obsession. I was thinking the other day, I'm like, I feel like a lot of mine are like things you buy, and I'm like, I should, not always, sometimes it's TikToks I watch, but whatever. Yeah. Today, it is something I bought, but do you ever go to World Foods in Northwest Portland?
Very rarely.
Okay. I also go there very rarely, but I was there, and they have great things. But as I was like about to check out, I walked past like these candles, and I was like, ooh, like I'm a sucker for a good candle, you know? Especially springtime. It's like, I just want the freshest candles, and I love citrus scents, and they had this like grapefruit one, and it's this small like local Seattle company, I guess. It's like, I think it's Fingerprint Co. is like the candle maker, but it was such a delicious like grapefruit scented little candle, and I got it for myself, and I've been lighting it every night as I like clean up my kitchen, and I feel like it's like my little luxury. Like it's my little luxury. Yeah, it's like whatever task I'm doing, I'm just like smelling my candle, and I'm like, this cleaning the kitchen feels better because I'm just smelling my amazing candle now.
Aromatherapy is real.
Yeah,
I'm such a smell person. Oh my god, if I have like the most delicious scent, mood made.
Yes.
Yeah.
Completely changes. I'm like uplifted. I'm in good spirits. Yes.
Yeah. And it like makes me think spring is here because it's that fresh citrus, like it smells like spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well my obsession, I have 2 obsessions, but one of them is also a scent.
Okay.
I was influenced by TikTok, of course. But I had to like make some returns at the mall yesterday, and I decided to just pop into Sephora and smell this perfume that this TikToker had been talking about, who I follow, because she recommended it for people who like gourmand scents, which is like a scent that kind of has like a food, like it makes you want to eat it, like the smell of it. And I love stuff like that.
New word for me.
Yeah.
I like that.
We're gourmand girls.
Yes.
And it's called Killian Love Don't Be Shy. It's a really fucking expensive bottle of perfume, like $250 for the full size bottle. But they have a rollerball size at Sephora, or like a travel spray bottle. Yeah. And I tested it out. I sprayed it on myself, and I like couldn't stop smelling it. I loved it so much, and so I bought the little spray bottle, and I'm wearing it today. Kind of marshmallow-y, vanilla-y, but
it's not
like
overly.
rich.
It's not overly
like what
sweet.
you would get at like Victoria's Secret.
Yes.
When we were like 15 or whatever. Yes.
Pink sugar. Did you guys ever wear that perfume?
Of course. I mean, please drown myself in it.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, I am now sexy as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like the grown-up pink sugar.
Yes. Oh, it smells so good. It's subtle.
Yes.
It is really subtle.
It's not too much.
That's amazing.
Thanks. So yeah, that's my first obsession. I just needed a new scent for spring. I
Perfect.
Like.
Yeah.
And the second one is, I'm a little embarrassed, but I love when people just shamelessly share their things that they like without being embarrassed. So I'm trying to channel that.
Good.
I listened to the audiobook of A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is like
this is
this
is my one. We have the exact same obsession. Okay, you finish.
Okay, I put off reading this book for a long time. I read a ton of fantasy and but I had never gotten into spicy fantasy. Yes. And like when people started talking about this book, I was like, I don't know. I'm not really like a weird. Spicy book person. Like I'm not. I was like sort of judgmental about it.
Of course.
Like I finally was like just needed something to listen to while I was editing photos last week.
And the first one is like, are you just on the first book?
I just started the second.
So the first one's like arguably like kind of bad. Like, it's not like incredible literature. Yeah, and it's like, this is Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
Like, we've seen it. We've read it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like once I got towards the end where there's like kind of more going on in the story and it like starts to get interesting, there's like new characters being brought in, I sort of got like sucked in and I was like, okay, I'm invested. I know this is a series, like I need to keep going. So I started listening to the second book.
Yes.
And now I'm like, I'm fully like on this journey. I'm going to listen to all of them. I'm into it. And I'm like very excited about like how the plot is moving, like what's happening. But I just like, for so long, I feel like I just like sort of looked down on these books as like, I do not read those. And now I'm like sucked in. So that's my obsession.
Okay, I'm so glad you said that because that is my obsession and I am also embarrassed. But I'm not. When I was pregnant with my son, my best friend, we've both been into fantasy forever, but she's like queen fantasy, like literally escapism, like reads every fantasy book ever. And so over a year ago now, I guess, in my first trimester with my son, she was like, you have to read these books. And I was like, gross. Like, how embarrassing. Read them. Obsessed.
Yeah.
Problematic to read in my first trimester of pregnancy because you're also kind of like weird and horny, but like, you know, you're pregnant and you're just like, and it's so hot and they're so hot. I felt so bad for my husband because he's like, I'm so attracted to him. I'm so into him, but I would literally look over and be like, how are you not like a 6'7", like angel man? Like, how are you not like a fairy? Yeah, exactly. With like sparkling skin, like flying, like carrying me through the like starlit sky. I'm like, these are such unreasonable expectations to have for him. And he's just like, why are you looking at me like that? And I'm just like, like so hormonal and just like, I hate you. It's like, oh my god, like what are you? Or I'd just be like, I'm obsessed with you. And it was like so bad. So I read all of them.
Yeah.
And then I had to look it up. And then I started reading the Throne of Glass series, which is her second one. And so I just finished that. And my husband's like, you are psycho. They're like 1,000 pages. There's like 7.
I love that. It's
7.
it's so exciting when you get to dive into a new universe where there's content to keep you entertained
and
for
each one is
months.
like a new universe. And so my best friend Chloe, shout out to Chloe, so she'd read them all. And the third series, which I just started, I'm listening to, which is my obsession, which I was going to say, is the Crescent City series. And that one, it's like all different female protagonists with their like love interest. Only the Thorns and Roses series is like kind of smutty. Like it's like super hot. It's like basically like truly porn. The other ones aren't, sadly. But the character development is so good. And then I guess there's like a through line. Like I guess as she writes this last book, she's going to like bring all the worlds together. And it's kind of like metaverse-y.
That's
where apparently
cool.
they're all existing in like parallel universes.
Wow. Okay, I'm so excited.
I'm glad we have the same obsession. Yeah. I was like, this is like weird and nerdy, but I'm going to bring it up because I have nothing else to say because this is like from the moment I wake up till my headphone in my bed at night, I'm listening to this book.
Yes, that's me with a quart of wind and mist and whatever it is right now.
And the third one, this like newest series, is Crescent City is like, I cannot listen to it around my husband or anyone because it's like it's like gibberish. It's like fantasy gibberish. It's like every word is made up. It's like this whole world, every like being is like it's so I feel like I'm like 9 and I'm just like in the world of Thorian where the dwindlers dwell.
I love that.
What are you saying?
I love to just immerse me, escape, remove me from reality, and put me in a new universe.
Exactly, that's so good. And everyone's like hot and bothered and like attracted, and everything is like you're just like, oh.
So this is like fairy porn that you guys are listening to. Is that what this is?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the true porn part yet.
Okay.
I mean, there's been some sex scenes, but
book 2 is like. Just wait. Sometimes I'm like, excuse me, like this.
Like you're listening in your car, you have to turn the volume down.
I would never. I read them. I read those. I don't think I could listen to them because I would just be like,
I'm
this
nervous.
is too much.
I'm nervous for when it gets to that part. I may have to switch to the actual
hardcore
book.
porn, and I'm just like listening to it around the world, and I can't. Yeah.
In the first book, it's like there's some sex scenes, but they're like fairly tame. You know,
Okay.
like this other spicy books that like you and Amanda read. You know.
Yeah.
But I've heard that like as you keep going, it's like really
the 5th
intense.
book, you're like, excuse me, I'm inspired.
I can't wait to get to that part.
Watch, literally 2 months from now, all your boudoir shoots are just gonna be like fairy porn, like full on the men are in wings. They're like Victoria's Secret angels. People are wearing like crowns. Like I can't wait to see how this manifests for you.
This is a great styled shoe.
Yes.
Yes, right?
And so many people love these books. Like, I feel like people would eat it up.
Wow.
You're next, Anna. You got to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll check it out. I have... No, I'm not.
Maybe I won't. Maybe I won't speak to either of you again.
No, I have this stack right now on like my nightstand of stuff that I like need to read, and I'm one of those people that like I feel guilty, and I'm like, well, this is the queue, so it's like I have to put it at the end of the queue, and I have to finish the queue in this order, even though I don't, and no one makes these rules that like I make for myself. But
I totally do. Or I'm like, I'm gonna read existential physics. I'm gonna just have that be my Audible book at the moment, and like 2 seconds in, I'm like, my eyes just like glaze the fuck over, and I'm like, okay, fairy porn.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, I have another spicy book that one of our clients recommended. That's like the next one I'm going to read. And it's apparently a lot spicier than that intro to spicy book that I was reading.
Okay.
And so I want to like try that one first just to see if it's like I'm into how spicy this one is apparently.
Yes.
But I don't know. I don't know if I'll be into it or not. So I feel like I need to read that, and then maybe I can join
your gateway drug to
to fairy porn.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, well, I also, The Body Keeps a Score. That one's also on my nightstand.
Yes.
That I bought this book. I'm embarrassed. 2 years ago to be like, Anna, you should read this. You've heard a lot of great things about it.
Haven't even started.
Yeah.
I will say, once I released the expectations on myself of like what I had to read, of like, have to read this book because I started it and I have to finish it. Have to read a nonfiction book because I've read too many like fluffy fiction books lately. I started reading a lot more and I started enjoying it a lot more.
100%.
So just food for thought.
Right? We're just go back to working out. Right? You're just getting it done, whatever. It can be fun. It doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to be punishment.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell our posse where they can find you if they want to like follow along on some of this stuff.
You can follow me at Atlas Birth on Instagram and then Atlas Birth Garden. And then my name is Amanda Gil on Instagram, but that's private. But you can find my other 2 Instas in the bio of that one.
Okay.
Like them. And yeah, shout out Portland moms. I'm going to be back at it soon. So if anyone's looking for a doula, I'm just now realizing that I'm ready to get back into it now that my baby's 6 months. So.
Wow. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Yeah, I know. I love it. And thank you, ladies, so much. This was so fun.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Thanks for
I
coming
could talk
on.
to you for hours.
Oh, same. Yeah. Like I'm cutting it off because I need to be nice to the people that like tune in every week.
Yes.
I feel like we could just keep going.
We really could. I love it.
Okay, and then you can find us at Naked Peach Boudoir on all the socials. We have a new Instagram for the podcast.
We do. It's peach.posse. That's our new Instagram. We also have Peach Posse on TikTok now. So
without the dot.
Fun.
Yeah, no dot on TikTok, dot on Instagram. Unfortunately, I couldn't keep it consistent.
I'm glad you guys got that though. I feel like that would be. I'm like surprised, even with just the dot that was available.
I know. I was shocked. Someone else already has Peach Posse. I need to look
do.
and see what it is.
Like, can I buy this off of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you can find me at Anna McLaughlin Photo. Type the whole thing in because after posting the spicy videos of Taylor last week, I have gone back to the bottom of the shadow band list. Instagram is very mad at me right now. So
my ass got Anna shadow banned.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
like an honor though.
Yeah,
it is an honor.
I think that's a new life goal of mine to get someone shadow banned.
Yeah.
But not by being like a weird internet troll, but by
being
how
too
spicy
hot.
I am in my content.
Right?
Yeah. It's when we do your fairy photo shoot.
When I'm your doula and we do my like fairy porn photo shoot, this is the exchange. This is what we're manifesting.
Yes. What I don't understand though truly is like, I mean, this shadow ban journey has been fascinating for me, but I truly don't understand how it's like those 2 videos have gotten me more shadow banned because like I said, before you could type in like, if you started to type in Anna M, I would sometimes pop up. Now it's like you literally have to type out the whole thing. Mm-hmm. However, that photo and reel also was like, Instagram was praising me for being like, this has boosted your engagement so much. You have all of these non-followers looking at this. And I'm like, how are they looking if you're not letting them look at me? Like, I don't understand.
I wonder what it is now. So I used to work at Meta for years and years. And when I was there, it was just like the AI algorithm where like as soon as someone reported you, they automatically took it down. And then it undergoes a review process that takes X amount of time. And then they review manually if it is against guidelines. And if it's not, they put it back up. But then at that point, it's like too late.
Okay.
But like the moment it's reported, because they just don't have the capacity like to actually review it, they automatically take it down. And then I think if enough content is reported, that's when the shadow ban starts, because they want to like limit people's access to crazy content if you posted something like really traumatizing.
Got it.
So you probably have like a handful of trolls.
I do.
Who are just won't let you be great.
Yeah, I mean, check out my page if you want to see some really great photos and videos.
Yes. Yeah. So fucking hot. Yeah. It's like insane.
Yeah.
Does Naked Peach Instagram get shadow banned a lot? Or
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to type Naked Peach BOU.
You guys need to have an OnlyFans. Is
I
that
know,
weird? Probably.
We need like a Patreon, or we need something, like just...
You should have a Patreon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then people can like pay for the best content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you? Where can they find you?
You can find me at TSmells, TSMELLZ.
And you're not shadow banned at this point, right?
I don't think so. I've never had anybody tell me they had to type in the full thing, but mine's also pretty short.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I also don't. I feel like I post relatively tamer stuff on my Instagram compared to like what we post on Naked Peach. Yeah. So that could be why.
Yeah.
And I have had to take things down before. So yeah, it's just,
I want to interview you guys when I start my podcast.
Well,
because I have so many questions for you about everything that you do. So fascinating.
Well, we can't wait to come on.
Yeah.
Now I'm inspired.
Yes.
I'll get that shit out of the garage. Let's go.
We'll be your first guest.
Yes. Okay.
And we won't judge your setup because we have
You're
very
like in my
beginnings.
like creepy ass basement. I'm like, this is fine. Relax.
Okay. We'll see you next
Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.